Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Welcome back to another video. I hope you are some way on the road to recovery after the complete and utter failings of Tuesday night. It was, in terms of throwing away leads, one of the most impressive ways of doing it I've seen from Norwich City, in complete and utter control, and to concede 3 goals in 12 minutes against Sheffield Wednesday will be tough to beat in terms of throwing away advantages. I'm sure Norwich will try again very soon, but it took a little while to try and recover from that and try and work out where is next for Norwich City. Look, I probably wasn't as angry on Tuesday night as some, mainly because I'd almost given up on top 6 hopes before that game. I think even if we'd have won, it would have been a bit of an ask, which is maybe slightly pessimistic from me, considering if we'd have won that, we would have only been 4 points off 6th place. But my hope and my optimism was at an all-time high leading into that Derby match at home. It still doesn't feel that long ago. We had Derby, Preston, Oxford, Blackburn, most recently Sheffield Wednesday. You know, there was a run there that we could have potentially gone on and really solidified a chance of top six this season. And actually, you know, Derby, Preston, Oxford and Sheffield Wednesday, we've picked up 2 points from at home. You know, if you'd have picked up maximum points from those games, which Norwich City should have done, they were leading in 3 of the 4 games there, we'd be in touching distance. So my optimism was slumped going into Tuesday, and it certainly wasn't heightened. It was a good 45-minute performance in that first half, and then sadly it was fairly predictable what followed. I wasn't expecting it to be as dramatic as that, but I was expecting Norwich to maybe give up the lead. Not, as I say, not quite as turbulent as it ended up being, but it was a night where we've just got to hope that lessons were learned. I think Johannes will have learned a lot from that. I think certain players will have learned a lot from that. I think certainly building ahead of next season, there will be, I'm sure, plenty to take from Tuesday night and a real understanding of the types of characters that are needed to be in the dressing room next season, and those that shouldn't be in and around the dressing room. It's a quick turnaround. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it isn't. It's Bristol City on Friday night. We've now gone, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, which is a lot for Johannes and his staff to try and deal with. It doesn't allow too much time for recovery, but it's the same for both us and Bristol City. Slight good bit of injury news. I haven't said that line too many times this season. Marcelino Nunes will be fit and good to go. So hopefully we are some way back to seeing what I deem our strongest midfield, which is probably McLean and Nunes alongside maybe a Slimane or a Marcondes. That feels a little bit better than where we were at, and hopefully it means that Jakob Sorensen won't have to start. You've then got the likes of Sorensen and Jacob Wright and maybe an Oscar Schwartau off the bench. So suddenly the midfield feels a little bit stronger. George Long is back, and he will be starting on Friday night ahead of Vicente Reyes. I think the thinking there from Johannes is probably he doesn't want to heap loads of pressure on Vicente too early. I mean, you know, he was playing League 2 football a month back, and now he's been thrown in a Championship side. I think he's got a long way to go in terms of his development, but there were signs of goodness from Vicente, and I guess that leads on to where we're at with Angus Gunn. Angus Gunn has still not heard anything in regard to his contract, if we were to believe reports from various places. If I was a betting man, I would be having my money on Angus Gunn not being a Norwich City player next season. I think that's fairly obvious. I think Norwich will be looking in the market for another goalkeeper. George Long isn't a number 1. Vicente Reyes isn't a number 1. They need a number 1. I think with Vicente, you've probably got potential number 2 there. I'm not mad on George Long. I think the numbers back that up. But he will be around next season because his contract has been renewed. So I think The one position, I mean, this could turn badly, but I think the one position where we will definitely be changing going into next season is that of Angus Gunn. I suspect he will be off, and we will talk about him more from now until the end of the season. But it feels a slight shame how it's worked out with Angus, but that's a discussion for another video. I guess it also leads on to the point now we're at that stage in the season. What we've got like 8-9 games left. What are the hopes? What are the objectives from now until the end of the season for Norwich City? It feels like top six has gone. It feels like there will be a huge rebuild in the summer. There will be major sales. I'm hoping there will be major incomings, and this starting 11 will look very different come the start of next season to what it does now. Johannes made a comment which I liked in his pre-match press conference by saying, it's our obligation to field our strongest 11. I get the sense with Josh Sargent that they are managing him incredibly carefully, which isn't a bad thing because we know that players haven't been managed particularly well this season. Lewis Dobbin, Marcelino Nunes et al. And have subsequently picked up injuries. I suspect that Josh will be potentially off in the summer, and they will be needing him to be fit in order to demand a big fee for him, and international kind of duties on the horizon for Josh as well. So that's an important one to have to try and manage. In terms of the opposition, well, Bristol City, if you think back to the game at Carrow Road, that was a game where Norwich had an injury crisis. I remember Emi Marcondes playing as the kind of centre forward that day. They did a job on us. It was a game in which we barely knocked on the door, and Bristol City at this stage in the season will be hopeful of a top six finish. They have been pretty solid for the most part this season, and that's almost one of the frustrations for me in Norwich is I don't think this Norwich City side are far off Bristol City at all in terms of playing style and performance levels and squad depth. I think Norwich are as good, if not better, than Bristol City, but we have just had a complete and utter inability to put any form of consistency together, and that will be the worry for Johannes. That will be the worry for the backroom staff. I was looking at the numbers, and look, whether you're into statistics or not, I suspect most people at this stage, the only statistic they care about are points on the board. But Norwich have been fairly impressive in terms of expected goals, in terms of chances given up, in terms of chances created. They've not been too far off it at all, and for whatever reason that hasn't converted into performances. I think part of that is mentality. I think part of that is lack of consistency with the side that we've been able to pick. There was no excuse whatsoever for not winning that game on Tuesday night. Norwich were in control. They had options off the bench. Even when they conceded the first goal, even when they conceded the second goal, there should have been some form of response, and there wasn't, and they went behind. And then another worry was they weren't able to get back into that game with still 20 minutes on the clock. So I think there's structural issues. I think there's mentality issues. I think there's leadership issues within this side. This isn't completely game over. I think there are still lots of positives. I think for large parts of games this season, Norwich have looked really impressive. I think we're probably whereabouts we expected to be this season, mid-pack, in touching distance of top six, but probably ultimately fall short. I think that's what most people predicted at the start of the season. That doesn't make the recent collapse any easier to take, but I think you have to zoom out a little bit here and go, okay, like, where are we on this journey? What are we trying to do? Are we spending money wisely? Are we making improvements both on and off the pitch? And I think we're probably far enough along that line for me to still be, very much on board with where we're going. This game on Friday, we need to see a performance. We need to see a bounce back. Yes, there might not be a whole lot left to play for this season, but there will be players who are wanting to cement places in Johannes' thoughts for next season. I'm thinking Ante Cianats, I'm thinking Oscar Schwartau, I'm thinking Jose Cordoba. we need to see performances from those guys, and hopefully from now until the end of the season, maybe with the pressure off a little bit, knowing that they can kind of freewheel from now until the end, we might see an uptick. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping deep down. But we shall see. We just need to see a performance, and that's not going to be particularly easy away at Bristol City, but it has to start here. Want to see the return of Nunez, want to see Josh Sargent back in that starting 11, want to see Borja Science continue with his, kick on from him scoring midweek. I want to see Jakob Sorensen out of the side. I want to see a centre-back partnership of Jose Cordoba and Shane Duffy, and we shall see where we go. If you're making the trip, safe travels. Let me know what you think of all discussed down in the comment section below, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.